Good morning, everyone. My daughter got this book at the library yesterday. It's called The Peach Pit Parade. It's a World War I story, and we just read it, and it was really awesome. I learned some stuff about World War I that I didn't know about, and I thought with it being the 4th of July, I'd record a reading of it for everyone. This book was written by Shana Keller and illustrated by Margeaux Lucas. All right, The Peach Pit Parade. See the family in the garden there. Polly felt everything change when the whole world got into a fight. A big fight. In 1914, the First World War started in Europe. People called it the Great War. 3 years later, it spread like a plague to America. When Polly's father joined the army to fight with the Allied forces, he sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, all the way to France. Food was scarce. Most of it was sent to the Allied soldiers fighting overseas. When the United States School Garden Academy was created, the United States School Garden Army was created, Polly's mother, along with many others, planted a garden. Not just any garden, a victory garden. Because of food shortages, people got creative and came up with the idea to have meatless Mondays and wheatless Wednesdays. They got quite a haul here. I like all the tomatoes they have ready to pick too. Even their Sunday family drives, which had always been done for fun, were put aside to save fuel. Polly didn't miss the drives. She missed her father. The Great War cast a heavy shadow over America. It was a heaviness Polly felt in the pit of her stomach, one that wouldn't go away. Parents tried to explain it. Teachers tried to explain it. It's the biggest event in our history, and it involves every single adult, every single boy, and every single girl. Miss Jennings said to Polly's class. Then she read a note written by Herbert Hoover, head of the United States Food Administration, in the National School Service newsletter. This is the people's war. They, we, must participate in it in every way that can be devised. Polly learned something new about the war every day. The war started in Europe, but then many countries around the world got involved. They said that war needed American soldiers. And now President Wilson said American soldiers needed their fellow citizens' help. Polly wanted to help, but what could she do? You're doing everything you can, Polly, her mother said while tucking her in one night. You grow your own garden, which makes you a soldier of the soil. You collect scrap metal with the Girl Scouts so the government can make ships and airplanes. You write letters with your class to encourage our troops, and you've given up wheat bread. Polly smiled just a little as her mother kissed her goodnight. Cookies and bread weren't the same without wheat flour. Will you read Papa's letter again, she asked. It was better than a bedtime story. I like that she was called for growing her own garden, a soldier of the soil. I think I'll be thinking of myself as that the next time I garden. Every morning, Polly helped her mother in the garden. She went to school, she came home, and she did her chores. As months passed, Polly was weighed down with sadness. Her spirits lifted when she won a part in the school play, The Wizard of Oz. Instead of selling tickets to the play, Polly and her classmates sold war savings stamps. Miss Jennings said the money raised from the stamps would be used by the government to replace soldiers' uniforms, repair helmets, and buy fuel for tanks and aircraft. Will it be enough, Polly wondered? Will Papa come home soon? One day, Miss Jennings shared upsetting news with the class. Some of the weapons being used in the war included chemicals that hurt soldiers' breathing and eyesight. Polly's eyes welled up with tears. Is Papa sick? We've received another notice, Miss Jennings said. The government needs our help to collect all types of fruit pits, especially peach pits. Why? Polly asked. Why would anyone want a peach pit? Our soldiers need to wear gas masks for protection against the chemicals the enemy sprays in the air. The mask has a small hose that connects to a metal filter, and the filter cleans the air they breathe in. Peach pits are used in the filters because they absorb the harmful gases. How many do they need? Franny asked. It takes 200 peach pits to make one filter, Miss Jennings said. 200? But there are millions of soldiers fighting in the war. How can we collect that many peach pits? Polly cried. The task seemed impossible. So when I read this to my daughter, she said, this looks pretty scary, and she's right. Kind of looks like someone wearing a spooky mask. And it is scary because war was scary, and if you had to wear this, it was a scary situation. But if you had on the gas mask, it could save your life. Basically, this shows that you would breathe in clean air like you always do, or you would breathe in bad air in this case that had been filled with gas, and it would go through a filter made with peach pits. And by the time it got to your mouth, it was clean. That night, Polly's mother made biscuits for dinner. The recipe was in the local newspaper and used mashed potatoes as the main ingredient. The biscuits didn't taste the same, but Polly didn't mind if it meant her father and the other soldiers overseas could eat biscuits and dumplings made with real flour. Supplies were always limited. The government needed steel to make weapons and rubber to make boots and tires. Soldiers needed good food to eat, and now Polly knew they needed peach pits, lots and lots of peach pits to use in their gas masks. I don't know if we can collect that many peach pits, Polly said as she helped her mother clean the kitchen that evening. If everyone contributes, we can do it, her mother said. Polly wasn't so sure. She quietly dried the dishes and thought of her father. The last time she saw him was at the send-off parade. Lots of people had brought extra supplies to give to the soldiers before they went overseas. Suddenly it hit her. What about a parade? Polly asked, thinking of her teacher and classmates, her church, and her scout troop. Instead of blankets and books, we could ask everyone to bring peach pits. The next morning, Polly shared the idea with her class. That's a wonderful suggestion, Miss Jennings said. Class, let's get to work. Polly and her classmates made signs to announce the parade. They called it the Peach Pit Parade. When Polly met with her Girl Scout troop later that week, she and Franny shared her idea with them too. If everyone contributes, we can do it, Polly said, echoing her mother's words. Using newspaper ads for ideas, Polly and her troop made posters for the parade. This poster says, Save the Pit, and this one says, Peach Pit Parade. It seemed like everyone helped. Neighbors told their friends, friends told their families, families told their scout troops. The newspaper even placed a notice for freight and included a map of the route. It says the Peach Pit Parade route. It's going to go by the school, the church, the post office. It goes all the way through town. Polly was nervous but excited on the morning of the parade. She and her classmates lined up with their wagons behind the school. They had brought empty jars from home. They brought baskets and buckets, all waiting to be filled. The girls from her scout troop played their flutes and banged their cymbals, and with a wave of a flag from Miss Jennings, Polly led the way. She held her poster high as she pulled her little wagon along. Her poster says, Save the Pit. The children passed the school first. Holding their own buckets and baskets, dozens of teachers, parents, and other students dumped their peach pits into Polly's wagon. The children marched by the bakery. The baker had a lot of pits to donate. They passed the mechanic shop, the bank, the hotel, and the gas station. They paraded by the firehouse and the post office. The streets were filled with people. They waved their flags high while the little band played. When the children crossed into the grocer's parking lot, they had to stop. To Polly's surprise, Girl Scout troops from near and far had lined up. They cheered her on as they emptied cup after cup of peach pits into the wagons. By the end of the day, every wagon, bucket, basket, and barrel was filled with pits. How many masks do you think we can make with all this, Polly asked. Hundreds, Miss Jennings said. Polly's smile shone brighter than the sun. In that moment, she felt as if the cloud of war had cleared away. Polly finally felt like she was doing all she could, and she couldn't wait to write her father about the Peach Pit Parade. That's the end. There's some history. I didn't know this about peach pits myself, and I've been throwing them away my whole life. But basically what this explains is that charcoal, which is a burn-up piece of organic material, it could be wood, a lot of times it's wood, but it could be things like peach pits. And basically when air or water goes through charcoal, it absorbs chemicals. And so what this says is that it was discovered that charcoal made from peach pits could absorb poisonous gas for nearly 6 hours, a much better rate of absorption than charcoal made from wood. Peach pit filters were also reusable. It's amazing. It's cool that somebody even figured that out. But then the author noted that the idea for the story began when I came across an article regarding the need for peach pits during the First World War. It was reported in 1918 by the National School Service newsletter that boys and girls had been, quote, so busy collecting peach pits and other raw materials for making charcoal for gas masks that the total number runs into the millions and millions. It's a pretty cool story. And it's just a reminder that, especially on Independence Day, that our freedom is something we all have to fight for. Even if we're not a soldier overseas, we all contribute to the freedoms we have and protecting them and keeping them. So anyway, I just wanted to share. Have a great day, everyone.